All right. Hello, everyone. I am here with Larry Kim. Go ahead and say hello in chat. Again, tell us where you are from. I didn't get everybody's location. We've got hundreds of people live here. Don't be shy to say hello. And I want to make sure that you arrived in this session okay. Larry is getting his screen share ready, as you guys can all see. And we're going to jump into the next session right away. Before we do, I want to just introduce the legend himself. I mean, I don't even know if I need to read this bio because I feel like I know I've introduced you so many times, Larry, but I'll go with the bio, then I'll add my 2 cents on Larry as well. Larry Kim is the CEO of Mobile Monkey, the world's best Facebook Messenger marketing platform and free chatbot builder. He's also founder of WordStream, the leading provider of Google Ads, Facebook ads, and keyword tools used by over 1 million marketers, including myself, worldwide. The company employs over 300 people and manages billions of dollars in ad spend on behalf of tens of thousands of customers. WordStream was acquired by Gannett. I thought it was Garnet. Is it Gannett? For $150 million. Larry is ranked the 8th most popular author on Medium. He has some really sweet growth hacks for getting successful articles flying through the news media. And he's been on CNBC, Inc. magazine. His key interests include chatbot marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, entrepreneurship, and startups. He received Marketer of the Year awards from Search Engine Land, US Search Awards, and PPC Hero. He is a legend in the space, and when he talks, it's hilarious but highly educational, and he has helped me change the direction of my business with the advice he's given in his sessions. So I'm really looking forward to this. Thanks, Larry. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. There's a bit of an echo there. If you could mute your line there. Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining me today. It's really great to be back talking about 3 kind of growth marketing channels to try out today. They're the way there's tons of different opportunities out there. So I just wanted to pick a couple that I thought were kind of interesting, and had a lot of leverage and weren't too crazy to implement. So that's kind of the agenda today. Before getting all the details of the hacks, just a little bit about me. I'm known for starting that company WordStream. It's about 300 people. Derek already introduced this. I didn't know he was going to do an intro, but yeah, I sold the business last year, and it's great because you are I do a lot of tips and tricks on how to grow your business and stuff like this, and it would have been pretty embarrassing if the company was a failure. Anyways, I'm started a new chatbot marketing company. Hope to talk to you a little bit about that too. So back to our story. We want to talk about the 3 ideas I wanted to highlight for you today on how to, just different channels to try it. And the first idea is kind of do-it-yourself account-based marketing or outbound marketing, or basically cold emailing. And so the idea here is just to supplement some of your traditional kind of conventional inbound marketing efforts with outbound prospecting efforts. And of course, the reason why this is super important is because inbound marketing leads, as anyone who's ever done this knows, you get, it's a mixed bag. You get a couple good leads, 1 or 2% is really interesting leads, but like a lot of that is just like riffraff and just people wanting to learn about something, and especially in B2B, if you're targeting very specific, I don't know, the VP of engineering or something like this, those people might not have time to read your blogs and stuff like this. And so, so I'm going to show you kind of a recipe for how to do sort of a DIY, cold emailing recipes. The important disclaimer here, please don't do this from your primary domain, because like if you screw something up, it could impact the deliverability of your main domain, and you don't want to mess up kind of the customer communications and all this stuff. So just register a different domain and give this a try. It's kind of think of it as like a kind of a marketing science. Okay. All right. So basically, the first thing you need to do here is to get a list of tons of emails, and so that kind of gets people a little tripped up sometimes, because like, how do you get all these relevant, valid emails? And so there's a bunch of different sources. If you're just selling to like the Fortune 500, VPs of engineering, well then just hire someone to manually search for them people, because there's only like 500 target companies or something like this. Like, and you can just enter in the name of the person that you're trying to meet, and tools like hunter.io, and there's dozens of these tools. This is just one of them. Will give you the email of that individual. Okay, so that's kind of a manual search. There's also, if your target market is bigger than 500 people, maybe it's like 20,000 people or something like this. The director level marketers or something like this. Well, there's tools like ZoomInfo, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, that'll help you kind of compile that list. They're a little bit more expensive, although comparable. They're not terribly expensive if you consider that like a click on a Facebook ad costs like $5 these days. So basically, you're pulling together this list based on job titles or other firmographics. There's all sorts of other tools that you can use, like Phantom Buster. Like this is like a Facebook group extractor. But the point is, like, you're just trying to get the names and information of people. And of course, this doesn't give you emails, but you'd have to use something like Clearbit or some other additional tool to then resolve the name into an email address. And so, somehow, some way, you're going to have to, create this list either through scraping or through purchasing, and then just bombs away, send out the emails and make tons of money, right? No, that's not exactly how that works, because the main thing that you're going to have trouble with is email delivery issues, meaning that these things like Gmail, they're not stupid. They're not going to, just let you spam everybody and expect that to get into the inbox. And so I wanted to give you a couple of tips on how to kind of, avoid some of the tripwires. So number one, this is pretty stupid obvious, just use a list verifier service. And so what that does is it just, there's hundreds of these companies. It opens an SMTP connection with the server of the email that you're trying to send to, and asks the server, is this a valid email or not? And so what it does is it reduces your bounce rates, so that'll improve your sender score. Another tip is, like, because I told you to use a new domain, like, don't use your growthmarketingconference.com or something like this. Like, use some other email address, similar but different. You're gonna have to warm it up a little bit, like, because Google is a little suspicious. Gmail is a little suspicious of new email domains, and so you have to compile a list of a couple hundred friends and family members, and just tell them, like, I'm going to send you, dozens of emails over the next 2 weeks. I just need you to do two things. One is, like, fish them out of the spam folder, like mark as not spam. And secondly, to engage with them. So click on the links or hit reply, etc. And so you just got to kind of warm it up and kind of build a little bit of a reputation with all the different mail providers. Another tip is to send out the emails rather slowly. So if you have 1,000 or 10,000 messages to send out, instead of just doing it in one big blast, like simultaneously, if you were to spread that out over, like, 2, 3, 4 days, I think what you'll find is that these algorithms are, given the volume of email that gets sent out on a daily basis, it's very hard to pick up, like, individual things, especially if you're, like, changing the subject lines using dynamic parameters, like the user's name or the user's company. So that's another tactic. And of course, this whole area of deliverability is its own. It's kind of like me trying to teach you SEO in 5 minutes. It's like, it's not really possible, but there are people who specialize in this kind of stuff. Their email deliverability is the category, and there's managed services like Mailgun that will have experts kind of look at your data and try to figure out how to improve those metrics. But generally, if you want to save thousands and thousands of dollars, the tips and tricks that that they're going to tell you are very similar to what I just described there, with throttling, warming up emails, and validating and removing invalid emails. All right, so that's sort of half of the battle. You're sending out these emails, and hopefully they're being received by the desired recipients, because we've implemented these best practices. Wanted to talk a little bit about the second issue that you're gonna encounter, which is the low engagement rate. So in general, a cold email conversion rate, and the engagement rates on these cold emails, they're about 3 to 5 times lower on cold emails versus warm emails where you have a relationship with those people. They know who you are. So the trick here is that it's just low intent. Like you're just emailing them out of the blue about your services and products. They're just less likely to be really excited about it because they didn't do the discovery. But everything has to start from somewhere. So I still think that I think it's still valuable, but it would be even more cool if you could figure out a way to make these cold emails more engaging, like that you could turn them into funnels and make them more exciting. I wanted to give you a couple tips. So say you're like a national commercial real estate brokerage. So you're selling office space, like in all the major cities, to growing companies. So there's ways you could email like lists of companies, but an even better way to do this would be to find signals of intent that would kind of be clues to you to believe that that this company or this individual might be considering like a move to a bigger or smaller office space. And so in this case, for a national commercial real estate brokerage firm, one such source would be SEC filings. So that's like the Securities and Exchange Commissions. Like this is a filing from 2014. It's like the WordStream Series C investment docs. Like it describes like an investment of $6 million or something like this. So like there's tens of thousands of these filings happening on the SEC website, like every quarter. And if your business just raised like 6, 10, $20 million, well, of course you're going to need new office space, because the whole purpose of raising money is to is to invest in the business, and 2/3 of that investment is typically people. And so the idea here is that you need to internally build some competency to kind of scrape the kind of the sources of intent, which then trigger the outbound email campaigns that we've previously described. And so that's just one example. There's tons of other possible signals of intent that you could monitor for changes. So for example, data relating to businesses or people who are moving from one location to another location, and then that data can be scraped from various places, or there's actually services that provide that data. Changes in job titles, so like vice presidents, like new vice presidents, new directors, new CEOs. Oh my God, like that's the perfect time to be selling solutions, like because because the previous relationship is dead. You see what I'm saying? You can scrape social media for different signals. There's ways to kind of monitor websites for changes in terms of like websites adding or removing software from their website. These are just 4 examples, but literally just think about your target audience and kind of what are the signals that they give off, prior to kind of a purchasing cycle, and then you're going to have your tech team kind of scrape those signals and trigger outbound emails. And this is kind of an area known as, actually Derek introduced this to me, intent-driven outbound marketing, which is sort of augmenting cold outreach with signals of intent, typically by cobbling together these kind of do-it-yourself tools and APIs, And a lot of companies that I know and respect actually have built up a pretty significant competency in this emerging area. So I just thought I would highlight that to you. All right, so that was my first idea, kind of this idea of do-it-yourself cold emailing. My number two idea today is Facebook Messenger marketing. Surprise, surprise! I run a Facebook Messenger marketing company. But here's the thing, guys: the future of Facebook is messaging. I was at a F8 conference, the Facebook conference is here, and they just said, messaging is the future, in every one of their sessions. And so the question is, like, how the heck do companies engage with prospects through messaging, whereas like that's like a private conversation. Like the newsfeed was pretty obvious. It was just like you post ads on the wall, and you promote your posts. How do you engage in messaging? And I just wanted to give you a crash course here, kind of a survey of the land. Basically, messenger marketing, it's super engaging. You can do push notifications, so you can send content to your customers or prospects, but that content isn't static. It can be dynamic. It can be like surveys, or you could do event registrations or reminders, and you can all the tactics of email marketing, like drip campaigns and list segmentation. These are all applicable to messaging, and using chatbot tools like Mobile Monkey, you can import your Facebook inbox and just do blasting. You can like blast all the people who've subscribed to your Facebook messaging. It's very simple. It's kind of like using MailChimp, where you compose a message and you just insert text, images, galleries, and then you specify an audience or kind of a distribution list to send these messages to. These are opt-in subscribers who have messaged your company in the past, and blast away. You can fire off sponsored promotional messages, and even non-promotional content to those recipients. And it's way better than email in that you're triggering push notifications on their phones, and this is crazy because typically people read those things, as opposed to the cold email tactics that I was just showing you earlier. They have lower engagement rates, although email is less persnickety over like getting the permissions, because you can just do cold outreach. It's harder to do that via messaging. Messaging is more for engaging with your subscribers. So I do blog blasting. Neil Patel is one of my subscribers. He's a pretty smart guy. Anyways, I don't know why he's on my list. And whenever I do a blog blast, he reads my blogs. And I think that's so great because he's kind of a growth marketer, and he's getting my growth marketing blogs via Messenger. Typically, what we see is that we send out our messages, our blog posts, both on email to a subscriber list and through messaging, through our Mobile Monkey chat blaster, and typically you see 3 to 5 times higher read rates and 10 to 20 times higher click-through rates. So that's pretty interesting. It's not just about sending out static content. You can make these things to be more interactive and collecting data. How it's by sending out dynamic chat content. So instead of just using text and images, which get rendered as static content, you could send out dynamic chat elements like a form or questions. So this is like what time do you want to choose? Like what 12 a.m. To 3 p.m., 9 a.m., etc. You can ask different questions like, can I get your email address? And when you send out these dynamic elements, it gets rendered as a form where the user is asking and answering and answering questions, and you can save that data so that you can do segmentation. So like if you ask the user, are you an agency or an in-house advertiser? You can actually send them down different messenger dialogues depending on how they answer, which kind of customizes the conversation to be more relevant to their business. The other really great thing is that as you're building this data on the user, you can define custom audiences based on the answers that they've provided. So, for example, all the people who've self-described as an agency, you could create a list of agency marketers so that you could blast, super relevant content campaigns or drip campaigns to those users. And this is an example of something that got sort of an 85% response rate because you're combining kind of the high engagement rate of Messenger with the segmentation capabilities. All the fields are pre-filled with phone numbers and addresses, and in terms of like how to grow your contact list, there's a couple cool ways to turn kind of engagement on Facebook into leads in Messenger so that you can send blasts. Basically, the messaging opt-in process is you need to get people to message your business so that you can send them chat blasts. Don't just wait for people to message you through this button. There's comment guards, so these are like autoresponders, where you provide a private response via Messenger to anyone who comments on a post. This is a silly example where I'm asking a quiz, and I'm asking people like to comment, what's the answer? I'll give you an explanation of the riddle, privately, to anyone who makes a guess. So this thing gets like 57 comments organically, which is really great because that's kind of the way to get organic reach, is you need a lot of comments. But plus you're able to convert those 57 commenters into Messenger subscribers. So here's a more serious example for a realtor. This is like, you ask a question in the post, the wall post. You just say like, "Hey, this house was listed at $100,000. Guess what we sold it for?" Put your answer below, and we'll send you sort of the market guide for the neighborhood privately through Messenger. And so people love this because everyone wants to know how much their house is worth and all this stuff. So everyone's going to guess. As soon as someone posts on a comment, we're going to privately respond to them. Sort of, hey, oh, guess what? It sold for $120,000, which was 20% above asking. And by the way, here's a PDF file with the kind of the market data for your neighborhood. Why don't you sell your house with us? So this is kind of a nice way of converting engagers into chat subscribers so that you can then add them to your distribution list. In terms of how do you do this, you choose the content, the dialogue that you're going to send to the user, and you also have to choose the post to apply it to. And this is pretty simple. Another cool way of getting contacts is web chat. So there's this thing called Messenger web chat where people, if they talk to you via Messenger, they can become subscribers. The other way of doing this is Facebook Messenger ads. And I think this is kind of interesting because Facebook ads are very expensive. The prices have gone up about 100 times over the last 6 years. And so in terms of the way how I do Facebook Messenger ads, if you look at my ads, you'll see that most of them are Messenger ads, which is kind of different. Normally ads, when you click on an ad, it goes to a web page, where it's these ads, when you click on them, they'll be sent into a Messenger session. But then the advantage of this is that I'll have captured their contact information. And so it's like the send message button, it's kind of like it captures the opt-in for messaging permissions. It also captures all their contact information, like first name, last name, location, time zone, profile photo, etc. And so, if you compare sort of regular ads with Messenger ads, instead of just paying for a click and then sending them to a website where like maybe 2, 3, 4% of them fill out a form, it's a little bit more roundabout, but hear me out. You pay for a click on a Messenger ad. You get their contact information and their messaging permissions. So you have the ability to they've opted into messaging basically. So that's for anyone who clicks on the ad. In the Messenger ad, you can ask them a few questions like, are you looking to buy today or 3 months from now? Or are you looking to rent? You can ask different qualifying questions, and depending on how they answer that questionnaire, you can then kind of redirect them to the kind of the correct offer on your website. Now, still, maybe 2 to 4% of them end up converting, maybe a little higher because you've kind of pre-qualified them and sent them to the right page. But even if they don't fill out your website form, you still have messaging permissions, so you can send drip campaigns to them, like 3, 4, 5 messages over the next few hours saying like, don't forget to do this and sign up for our Facebook group and offer number 1 and offer number 2. You can create funnels to re-engage with them automatically. This is actually a significantly more it has a few more steps, but it's more effective in terms of its throughput. It's how do you do this? You just create the messenger ads in Facebook. It's very simple. It's just like creating a Facebook ad. It's just that instead of creating a landing page, you're creating a messenger dialogue to receive that user. And you then just need to connect the ad to that messenger dialogue that you've created in MobileMonkey. This is sort of, here's what it looks like. So there's an ad on the newsfeed. They click send message. It goes into this dialogue. It says, are you running Facebook ads? Why, yes, I am. Are you a marketer or an agency? I'm an agency. Wow, like you're an agency. Well, then you need to go to the summit, blah, blah, blah. It's so great. And then it still ends up sending them to a landing page, but we've kind of captured their information, and we can send them to a more relevant destination page. So that's how this works. And of course, now they're subscribed to the list, so I can send them reminders and other tips and tricks through Messenger. So that's sort of the spiel here. What happens after the click? Well, you have their messaging permissions. So typically you would set up a sequence of drip campaigns to send off, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later. Be aggressive. Like don't make it to a 30-day drip campaign or something. Like just, send out 3, 4, 5 messages in the next couple hours. And of course you can sync your audiences with Facebook to create custom audiences for traditional remarketing. You can do chat blasts to these people. It's just like they've subscribed to your list, so you can periodically send them either organic or sponsored updates, and the result is it's amazing. I'm able to generate leads for $3, $4, $5 via Facebook for like event registrations. Typically, if I'm doing click campaigns, it's closer to like $300, $400, $500 a lead. So give that a try, because it's just going to get more important as Facebook integrates WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram in 2020. So those are some of the 4 messenger hacks that we talked about here. Wanted to move on to my last idea, which is where to focus your social media efforts in 2019 and beyond, in terms of like, in a post news feed organic engagement era where, the engagement rates of wall posts is kind of a, not a great return on investment anymore. So basically, so where should you be focusing your time in terms of social media marketing? Like I don't think that like these buffer things where you fill the buffer and it just kind of spits out crap to the wall. I don't think that's very effective. But what you could do is you could invest that time and energy and resources into Facebook groups. I'm sure you've heard that Facebook groups are still alive and kicking. I just wanted to just illustrate this to you. This was a snapshot from my group from last year, but at the time I had 5,000 members, of which 1,800 of them commented, posted, and reacted to posts in the last 28 days. So that's like a 40% engagement rate, which is crazy. And of course, the group has scaled, over the last year to tens of thousands of members, and the engagement rates have held up. So how do you it doesn't happen automatically. There's still some tips and tricks that you need to do to kind of to increase your group engagement score. One of the stupidest ways to do this is just do comment bait to activate your group. So just periodically I'll, activate the group by saying like, hey guys, where are you from? Or something like this. And this, this is 129 comments. It just makes it very likely that these people are going to, see future updates from the group. Other ways of doing this is like periodically doing live streams to the group. Nothing rocket science here. It's just wanted to show you kind of the engagement numbers. Another in terms of Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, like Twitter especially is very challenging. But one thing that I do is that I will do simulated live streams to these I like you can live stream if you have a recorded video, you can do a simulated live stream using like Streamly or any of these like streaming products. You can just take a recording of it and stream it to as a live stream to Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. And here's an example of like me. I did a demo for Neil Patel, and or some. I did some demo and I recorded it, and then I just said, "What the heck? Why don't I just live stream it to the various Facebook pages, Facebook groups, Twitter pages, YouTube?" It's kind of a way to get more, and of course those algorithms favor live stream content. Like they can't really tell if it's simulated live or just a recording. So just a way of getting more mileage from your existing video assets. And the LinkedIn newsfeed algorithm, this is kind of a joke. It's like the Facebook algorithm from 15 years ago. Literally, it's possible to get tens of thousands of profile viewers for your personal or business pages. It's not hard. If you haven't figured this out, there's LinkedIn Broetry, which is kind of these double-spaced poems about work and life. It's kind of like being a rapper. You just write a 300-word thing or a 300-character thing, and it takes you 10 minutes, and it's possible to get like millions of views for these things. Video does extremely well on LinkedIn, of course, and it really does. It provides. I can't tell you that it's kind of a direct ROI, but like all sorts of crazy opportunities will arise from the LinkedIn river. This is like can you come into the studio like tomorrow? For BBC Newsnight interview. All sorts of stuff like this will happen when you generate like huge numbers of views and engagement on either your company or personal profiles. Okay, so LinkedIn and social media channels. I'm not advocating that you abandon them. It's just kind of changing the tactics. And so, in summary, I just wanted to wrap this up here. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey from Donkey Land to Unicorn Land, where we discussed different hacks to try for marketing channels in 2019. We talked about cold emailing. We talked about social media, how to get more engagement out of the news feeds given the current situation, and also of course Facebook Messenger, which I'm very bullish on. Please note though that these are just tactics to get exposure for the content that you're producing. This is not marketing. This is just the tactics of getting exposure. You still need to do marketing. You still need to have a great product or service with a unique selling proposition and compelling value and funnels to get people to see that value. But assuming you have that, you also need to be able to get exposure for it, and those are some of the three ways that I have found in the last year that are fairly effective. So thank you, Derek, Faisal, and the Growth Marketing Conference team. By the way, you can get the slides for this presentation at bit.ly/3-growth-marketing-hacks. So the cool thing about this is if you download this slide presentation at 3-growth-marketing-hacks, we'll send it to you via Messenger. So you'll get to experience kind of that one of the three growth channels that we talked about today. Derek, do we have any questions from our audience today? Or
yeah, I certainly have some questions for you guys. If you have questions for Larry, go ahead and put them in chat now. You can actually use the Ask a Question tool to ask your question there. Also, just out of curiosity, I put up a poll to understand the breakdown of B2B and B2C. We were having a long conversation in chat while you were going, Larry, about things like outbound email and how that works, about Facebook custom audiences and the difference of using those for B2B and B2C. And I think that you sparked a lot of thought and conversation around when to apply each of these topics. So I want to get your honest opinion. Tough question. When should I not do Facebook Messenger marketing?
Well, it's more of a middle of the lower middle funnel thing. Okay. Right. So like, here's the thing: if you're just blasting to people and you get really high kind of complaint abuse rates, like block rates, you can actually lose permissions for your entire page.
You
And
get
so
your page banned?
no, just the messaging
Okay,
permissions.
just the messenger part. Okay.
So like if your block rate's like 8% or something, well, that's game over. Okay, so like basically that implies that this is more of a lower mid funnel. Like people there's extremely high engagement rates provided that people are indeed interested in having a dialogue with your business. You see what I'm saying? So that means like it tends to lend itself to lower funnel engagement, whereas like the cold emailing and the outbound marketing, like that's much better suited for like mass prospecting and this kind of stuff than Messenger. Make sense?
So when we need to have, let's say, an established business, some traction. We've maybe we're implementing this as a retention tool for our existing customers, not necessarily as an acquisition tool for new customers.
It's a re-engagement tool. It's also a kind of a lead qualification, like how I was asking the questions for kind of low funnel stuff, and even like the most effective usage of messenger ads I find is not just generic audience targeting where you just say like anybody with a pulse, but targeting like recent visitors to your site and stuff like this, in the countries that you care about. So don't abandon your regular Facebook ads, but allocate 10-15% of that to messaging, and I think you'll be pleased with the results.
Yeah, I agree completely. And the way that I like to think about Messenger is kind of similarly, where if they visit the site, Messenger retargeting ad to kind of engage them and drive them from, it's not top of funnel, but maybe it's the bottom of the top of funnel. They've been to our site, they know something about us, they've raised their hand a little bit, but to get them all the way from there to the customer can be really an arduous process. So maybe by getting them into a messenger bot, we can engage with them there, and that can streamline that process. And I think that works really well in SaaS, in mid and maybe low touch SaaS. What about like high touch B2E companies, people that are saying like messenger marketing will never work, targeting the Fortune 500, it's not gonna, fly. Do you see traction and success there?
Well, this is the ultimate in account-based marketing, right? Because it's a private messaging to an individual, so yeah, I think I would be very interested in creating a custom audience to the Fortune 5,000 CEOs and trying to get messaging permissions for their phone. I think that would be extremely valuable, wouldn't you?
Wow. Could you imagine if you said, I've got 1,000 of the top Fortune 5,000 companies, their CEOs are in my messenger blasts? That would be something.
Well, it's not just blasting. You can message them just like
To talk.
manually. Like, hey, Derek, what's happening?
And I think that's where it comes into play. The larger the account, the more you're going to want an actual rep, like a sales rep or account executive in Messenger. So it's not a marketing, it's bridging marketing and sales in a way, and it's just a communication tool at that point.
Yeah, it's kind of lower mid funnel kind of. Yeah.
I love it. So I noticed, so I've been subscribed to the Mobile Monkey Messenger list for a long time. You always start with a question, and then you kind of have a button, and then there's a follow-up action. So it's not like you say, hey, check out our latest blog post, and then I click and go to the blog post. It's like, are you interested in XYZ? Click to learn more. I click, and then there's a follow-up that gives me the engagement. Why do you do that?
Well, it's like Jeopardy. You gotta have to invert, in the form of a question. And in fact, that if you think about like marketing in general, like that is so much more engaging. Like if I ask you something first rather than I proclaim something, okay? Because we're trying to solicit responses that'll, meaningful responses. And so, always start with a kind of a icebreaker question, and then move on to more details of your deal or your promotion. That's a failing of regular Facebook ads. So like, because there's no ability to kind of converse back and forth.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like
that companies feel the need. Oh my God, I have 3 seconds. I need to like make the whole sale like in 3 seconds. But in Messenger ads, like as soon as they click the button, you get the messaging permissions to sustain a meaningful conversation, and so you can go at a more measured pace, if that makes sense.
I love it. All right, so something tells me you probably have a guide for this. Do you? Can you maybe afterwards or maybe in the next session link us Larry Kim's ultimate guide to how to do messenger marketing?
It's Chatbot University. It's from mobilemonkey.com/chatbot-tutorial. It's in the top level navigation under Learn, Chatbot-tutorial on mobilemonkey.com.
Bringing it up now. I'm going to share with everyone in chat, and we'll share it in the next session, because what we're going to do right now is move straight into Sid Barat is going to be introducing Clayton Wood in the next session. Larry, thank you so much, guys. You have Larry's Twitter and Medium handles in the chat here. Feel free to ask questions either in chat, or you can hit us up on social media using #GrowthMarketingConference, and you can see the @GrowthTactics @Larry Kim. And I really hope you got a lot of value out of this. I know I learned something, and we had a great conversation about how to do outbound and how to incorporate, on the side of what you're talking about, how to incorporate advertising with outbound campaigns for increased conversion rate, if you guys weren't following along in chat. Thanks so much, Larry, for the presentation. And thanks, Mobile Monkey, by the way, for being a sponsor of this event. I do recommend you guys check them out. They are our Facebook Messenger platform of choice.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone.